Hey guys, welcome to my channel. In this channel we talk about Igbo spirituality, Igbo cosmology. We deconstruct this the Christian interpretations of Igbo spirituality and cosmology, and we basically try to make it to make sense and demystify it and make it relatable with our day-to-day activity or life. So if you're new to this channel, I would like you to subscribe to this channel, and if you have any video specification, I would also want to hear about it. And without any further ado, let's get into the video. My topic today is going to center on a cultural practice or ritual that we call IGBU EWU ANI. IGBU EWU ANI. You know, sacrificing or killing a goat for the purification or sanctification of a particular land. So I think this is going to be an interesting conversation, but before I start, I'm going to come from another angle, then mix it up with this particular topic. So I'm going to start in form of a story surrounding this topic. So where am I going to begin with? It's a little bit confusing. Okay, so first of all, as Igbo, we need to understand that we are very mysterious. We are too mysterious. The way we do our things is not the way a white man, would do his thing, or it's not the same way other people would actually live. In Igbo, we are mysterious, and I think one of the reasons is because of things that are rooted in our ancestral lineage. It's so strong and it's so powerful that even if you're a Christian today, you cannot escape it. Because if you say you're now a Christian and you don't associate yourself with fetish things, but you still go to markets, and every single Igbo ancestral market is rooted or was instituted with one deity or the other. Look at the 4 market days that we have: Eke, Ori, Afo, Nkwo. All this, the Eke on is on a second Neke, Nori, now for all this market day is actually deities. But apart from Eke, Ori, Afo being energies or deities on their own, even within each of those markets, there are shrines that were instituted. For instance, if you come to Newi now, look at Nkwo Newi, there is a shrine there. Now if you go to Ekochi in a Otolo in a Newi, there's a deity there. Ekamo will be the same thing. So all these deities, all these markets in Igbo land are associated with 1 or 2 deities. So even if you say that you are not you no longer participate in all those things, you go to those markets. And as you go to those markets, you're stepping on Ani. And most times when some Dibias want to perform some certain strong work, they will go to a market. And maybe you stepped on that particular part that day. They will go and carry it, and they will go and do the ogu that they want to go and do. So by directly or indirectly, you are still, involving yourself in Igbo spiritual practices. So once we are demonizing all these things, we also need to understand that it is still part and parcel of our existence. Therefore, it's essential that we actually know these things, learn them, so we don't make mistakes, or we don't just do things we're not supposed to do and basically kind of retain or involve ourselves in some sort of a trouble. So what I'm trying to talk about today is IGBU EWU ANI. But I'm going to start from the aspect or from the angle of Ijuese. Now, in Igbo cosmology, in a Igbo society, what we do before you do virtually anything or everything is essential for you to go through the process of Ijuese. If you want to get married, you go through the process of Ijuese. If you want to buy any property, you go through the process of Ijuese. If you want to go to somewhere, you go through the process of Ijuese. Now, our ancestors gave this aphorism. They tell you, Onye ajojo adefuzo. And they would also tell you that Opanadibia ada wonogi. A person that harvests or goes to a dibia, basically for divination, would not die early. Because Afa is there to give you some sort of a cosmic answer, give you insights, help you to provide some solutions, and tell you what is happening to you. Even though they will also encourage you by saying dibia na-agba afa ofeke na-agba uche. Our ancestors were too much. They will give you all these aphorisms. This I say, ihe anụnwa bụ ilu Igbo bịakwa bịa bolo okwu amamefe. So for you and I, going to a dibia's house is not evil. It shouldn't be demonized. It's how our ancestors lived, and we shouldn't forsake it. That's the ancestral interpretations. But in this regard, like I said, it's a story, but I'm still going to make it make sense at the end of the day. So when I tell you that when you want to buy or once you want to engage in any activity, it's important for you to actually go through Afa for guidance. Now, in my hometown, I kind of met up with an Akajofo for one deity, and we're having this conversation. So in Nnewi, it's as if our people had this huge plots of land and retained it. They gave it to these deities. Well, I don't really know their origin, so let me just say our people gave it to these deities, or maybe it's where these deities lived their lives. So once I've actually talked with all these Akajofo, one of them said that, like, if you talk about Ezemewi, Edonewi, and Obubu Ezekwabo, they said that Ezemewi, being their husband, gave Edonewi the whole axis around that Nkwonewi region, and also another place that we know as Edomwembala. That's the two places that the husband gave Edo. Now, for the first wife, Obugweze Kwabo, now gave her her own part of her own parcel of a land around Otolo side. That's why if you're from Nnewi and you're from Otolo, Mwaben Nage, the deity or the energy from your father's house, if you're from Otolo region, is Uzukbe. Now, from Uzukbe now, around that Uzukbe, that's like around that Abada region, you will now probably basically extend it, and you will now meet I don't really know how to describe this Uweze Kwabo's shrine, but what I'm trying to say here is that Edonewi has huge, like, her lands are still existing and they are still well maintained, and it's still basically we call all these places Abo. The same thing with Uzukbe. Uzukbe has his Abo. Ezemewi also has his own Abo. But when I came to Obuweze Kwabo, it was a very small piece of the area. It's very small. So me and my companion, we had to ask, and the man said that the Ezemo or the Akajofo before him misused, sold, and basically misused the land, sold the deity's property. Now I was like, now wow, why would somebody do all those things? He said it's because of church, that he believed that this deity is no longer active and it wouldn't do anything. Therefore, he just basically went there and sold all those. And okay, now after I said, what now happened? He said, because the system, how all this, how all these things work is that deities don't just pick anybody. There are some particular families that those deities, they are the people, it's only people from that family have the right to touch the offer of that deity. That's how they did it in my place. So they said that it's in their omunna, in their family, that initially none of them refused to ebamo, enter into that deity and serve the deity as their Akajiofo. But the person that went there because he had sinister intentions by selling those lands. So when the deity now came for retribution, not only did the deity kill the particular person that did all those atrocities, it started inflicting them in the family with misery, death, etc. Now they started had to ask questions, and I said, okay, what of the people that bought those lands? He said, look at this building here now, they've stopped building. I was like, He said, it's the deity, that the owner of this place now, that the deity kept on disturbing, kept on giving this person chances to find out what is happening. But the person was adamant, and the deity, she killed that man. Now this building here, the owner of this building is literally mad right now. The owner of this, everybody that bought that land, everybody that partook in the destruction of buying, selling, all of them were afflicted with one kind of a wahala or the other. You see where Idris comes in. Now, for instance, if these people that went to buy analysis, because this is what we call them, we call it analysis. If these people that went to buy these kinds of land asked the right questions through Afa, then they would be alive, because they will not go and buy such lands. Even one of them was even told, is a deity that has this parcel of land, and he was still adamant, and he refused and said, there's nothing like that. I'm going to call a priest to come and baptize this place, and it's going to be brand new. It's God's property. Now he's 6 feet under. So this is one of the essential or the important reasons why Iwafa is important to us as Ndi Igbo. It saves our life. This is just one fact that Abrahamic religions would not allow you to believe. Afa saves life. Now, that one has actually happened. Most of them have actually died off because of their stubbornness, because deities will not kill you. They are not that vindictive. They will not just kill you. They would give you chances upon chances upon chances, and they will try to make sure that you know that they are disturbing you, and they will try to give you opportunities to rectify what you've spoiled. The problem here is when that person become stubborn. It cannot happen. Allah say what? It's not happening. We are now Christians. God is now in control. This is where the problem becomes. Even the Christian Bible says, give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give to God what belongs to God. If we feel mad, leave it there. Life is just that simple. But because that we've been manipulated and lied to, we still believe that the Christian God has some kind of a dominion. We are Igbos. We need to start knowing that we are Igbos. Now back to the topic, which is EWU ANI. Now, assuming these persons that were killed or afflicted with madness by Ne Ezekwabo performed the rites of EWU ANI, which is an Igbo cultural practice of killing a goat on a newly purchased land. If they had done that, it also has its function why we actually do it. But if they have actually tried to do that, it would have been disastrous even. Especially not just on them that purchased it, but even those that actually feasted on that meat. So the first thing they would have done is to go to Afa, and Afa will say, no, Zagaro, don't go there. She's going to do this and did this one for you. And maybe after they've even purchased the land and they listened when the deity started afflicting them, appearing, started to warn them, because I heard stories that even you will come to that place and you will see like a python on that piece of land. These things are not just things that happen. These are clear indications that something is definitely wrong. Why is this thing here? Especially when it happens not once, not twice, at least over and over again. They would have gone to Afa, and Afa will provide a solution. Afa will probably say, it's as simple as that. Then the deity will now decide, maybe when you're dead, you would return that land to her. So use it and do whatever you want to do. But once you die, your children should not take over this land as their own. But because you've wasted a lot of money buying them, they would find a mutual ground where everybody is happy. But because of ignorance and arrogance, most people died for something that they shouldn't actually die. So back to EWU ANI. Now, apart from purchasing lands belonging to deities, which is a very dangerous thing to do, there are instances where people purchase lands without performing these traditional rites of Igbo EWU ANI. Now, first of all, in these modern times, you see people, when we purchase the land, you go to a lawyer, you bring a lawyer, they graft out a contract, and everybody, the witness, the seller, the buyer, everybody signs on this agreement. It becomes a binding contract. This is the same thing that is happening here. I like using human comparisons to interpret Igbo spiritual practices because it makes a lot of sense. Now, when you as a man, a woman, you go out there, you purchase a land and you perform the rites of Igbo EWU ANI, what you're doing here is that you're informing the ancestral spirits of the original owners of that land that you're buying it for, that this land has been sold to these other people. And by also doing that, you're also involving, or you're informing your ancestral spirits in the chi that you just purchased a land for them. Because whatever we're doing in this land, in this life, we're not just doing it for us alone. We are doing it with the intention that we are doing it for posterity, and even involving those that died before us. For instance, if your parents are dead and you just purchase the land, you always say, oh yeah, if my parents were around, they are here because you are a physical manifestation of them. You are the physical extension of your parents. So as people even have this saying, I say that onye follow naye afugondi ichi. Onye follow naye. Once you see your father, you've seen all your ancestors. So once you're not seeing your ancestors, you are an example, a replica. Because once you get married and give birth to the next generation, to them, you are now, once they are now looking at you, you are now a direct link to their own ancestors. So by doing that, you're also informing them of a land that you just purchased for them. It becomes a family land, not just for the physical family, for the spiritual aspect of you. So this is why our ancestors perform Igbo EWU ANI. Now, those people around that are bearing as witnesses, that are going to join you in feasting of this land, the meat, sorry, they have been held by Ajani. On no account will such people go out tomorrow and see where somebody else is trying to sell that land that belongs to you and keep quiet. If they do that, ndị Igbo ga-asị ani etigbo onye ahụ. So you see why our ancestors, have you seen the logics that our ancestors, had, what they had in mind when they instituted this particular Igbo ritual? Now, another thing that our people look at is something that sigi anana joko. Now, once you're doing that, you're trying to, because let me say, there are some people, their ancestors, because I won't come here and start telling you that all our Igbo ancestors were good and holy, they are all saints. That's not true. As we are now living in this generation, there are good people and there are bad people. The same way when they die, there would also be good ancestors and bad ancestors. So have you been seeing this? So some of these bad ancestors, because maybe they're looking for power, they're trying to, become what they actually did not destined for them, decide to basically kill people, commit human sacrifices, and the rest. Now, those people, those blood that they shed on that particular land would continue to speak against that family, with that land as a theta to them. Now you, because you don't know and you do not even go to Afa to ask, is this land okay for me to buy? You go there and you purchase such a land and you start living in it without performing this rite of Igbo EWU ANI. Now, it's just that what's happening here is that you're inheriting an ancestral curse or an ancestral spirit that you shouldn't inherit. And while you're inheriting it, you don't have your ancestors to fight for you. So what happens here is, once that kind of thing happens now, what do you think is going to happen? First of all, if you're trying to build on that land, you'll probably lose all your money, because that spirit will not allow you to take over. So you start having issues already. Secondly, it could start afflicting you and your family with untimely death, because there's a vengeful spirit there which needs to be either you appease it or you take it back to whoever that is bringing it. So in these kind of situations, when you go through Afa will say mba anaba na neloko, that you shouldn't enter into that land. So that means hands off. Even if you perform IGBU EWU ANI, that spirit could decide, I'm not going anywhere. But we use IGBU EWU ANI as a way to invite your own ancestral spirits, not just your Ndichi, but more deities that are within, that your ancestors worshipped or venerated in those days. You're bringing them along. They will now step in as your intercessors. So once they've stepped in as your intercessors, the aim here is basically for them to basically pray or make sure that this thing does not affect you. It goes with whomever that is bringing it. So these are the important reasons why IGBU EWU ANI is important to us as Ndi Igbo. Idrese is the first step. Dresse, ask, if I buy this land, Echidimma Agade or Ananeroko, is it a portion or a parcel of land that is going to lead to my death? Is it going to lead to some sort of a misfortune? So once Afa has answered the question, the next thing for you to do is to perform IGBU EWU ANI. Once you perform the rites and the rituals of IGBU EWU ANI, you are now safe to pack into that land and establish yourself the way you want. So I'm going to stop in this video, and I hope you enjoyed this discussion. And until next time, don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, yeah guys, yeah.